Hello learners, in today's video we are going to talk about the important literary period of English literature, Renaissance. Renaissance एक फ्रेंच वर्ड है जिसका मतलब है rebirth, rebirth of humanism. The period of Renaissance is from 14th century, late 14th century to early 17th century. And the beginning of Renaissance period, it began in Italy, Florence, and spread to the other parts of Europe, reaching England in late 15th century. So it spread to the other part of Europe, but it began from in Italy, Florence. Okay, now we come to the definition of Renaissance. This definition of Renaissance is the sum up of what was happened during Renaissance period. The Renaissance is a cultural and intellectual movement, which is an important point, meaning rebirth that began in Italy in the 14th century and spread across Europe until 17th century, marked by a revival of classical learning, humanism and new artistic and literary forms. So, Renaissance एक कल्चरल और इंटेलेक्चुअल मूवमेंट है जो कि इटली से शुरू हुआ 14th सेंचुरी में और ये पूरे यूरोप में फैल गया until 17th century. What happened during Renaissance is that it create a revival, मतलब वापस से शुरू किया इसने क्लासिकल लर्निंग को, ह्यूमनिज्म को और आर्टिस्टिक और लिटरेरी फॉर्म्स को in a very not only in literature, in very different fields also, like culture, art, painting, architecture and other different things. Now we come to how Renaissance started. Okay, we have enough detail about Renaissance, that when it started, where it started, and from which period to which period it was happened, what is the meaning. Now we come to the part कि Renaissance शुरू कैसे हुआ. So if we want to understand Renaissance शुरू कैसे हुआ तो हमें वक्त में पीछे जाना पड़ेगा. We have to go back in time. So it was all started that Roman Empire, which was divided into two parts, Eastern Roman and Western Roman. Western Roman Empire fell in the beginning of 5th century. So we don't have to talk about Western Roman Empire. Now we come to the important, which is Eastern Roman Empire, जिसको हम Benjamin Empire भी कहते हैं, which is very important because Benjamin Empire का जो capital था, which is Constantinople, which is very important, is the center of European culture and activity. So everything which happened with culture and tradition and anything was happening in Constantinople. So Constantinople जो है वो एक सेंटर था यूरोप का, पूरे यूरोप का, जहाँ पे कल्चर रिलेटेड, ट्रेडिशन रिलेटेड जो चीज़ें हैं वो हुआ करती थी. तो यहाँ के लोग बहुत इंटेलेक्चुअल थे. ओके, नाउ व्हेन वी नो दैट what is Benjamin Empire, what is Constantinople, we have to move toward how Renaissance happened. In 1453, Middle East, which is the center of Muslim community and whose empire is Ottoman Turk, attacked on Constantinople. Constantinople, which is the major center of Christianity, trade, classical scholarship. Okay, and this attack created a big chaos. What happened in Constantinople, that they seized Constantinople and it lasted for 53 days. 53 days. It started on 6th April 1453. Okay, now what happened after the siege? Constantinople was renamed Istanbul, becoming the new capital of Ottoman Empire, which is very sad because Constantinople was the center of all the things which was happening in Europe. Constantinople was the center of Christianity, trade and cultural activity. Now, why all these attacks was happening? Because at the time, in the Middle Age, the Persian were very powerful, who are Roman Empire. The European and the Middle East were fighting continuously, and this had started in 11th century with the Crusades. Now, यूरोपियन जो है वो मिडिल ईस्ट मीन्स मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी से कंटिन्यूसली उनके वॉर्स हो रहे थे. एंड ये जो वॉर है ये 11th सेंचुरी से स्टार्ट हुआ था. And why this wars was happening? Because of crusade. And what is crusades? A series of historical religious wars fought between the 11th and 13th centuries, primarily between European Christian and Muslim over Jerusalem. And you know, the Jerusalem is very important place from for Christians and Muslims, and this place is very controversial between Muslims and Christian, and because of that they are fighting continuously from 11th century to 13th and 14th century. And because of these fights, these wars, ओटोमन तुर्क ने कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल पे अटैक किया और कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल को सीज कर लिया. And after that siege, what they are doing is that they are destroying all the important thing which belong to Christian community, because basically they try to destroy all the identity, all the things which can which gave identity to Christian community. So they are destroying libraries, they are destroying architecture, they are destroying churches. So this is very, because they are very infuriated because of the Jerusalem conflict. So what happened, that they attack on scholars, translator and scripts, and they force them to flee from Constantinople. तो उनको वहाँ से भागना पड़ा. एंड जब वो भाग रहे थे स्कॉलर्स, ट्रांसलेटर, तो उन्होंने अपने साथ जो भी प्रीसियस मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स थे विच बिलोंग टू ग्रीक एंड रोमन क्लासिक and which was preserved in the Benjamin Empire for centuries, because they have to preserve those manuscripts which belong to Christian community, which is very important for Christian community. And these works include the works of Homer, Plato, Aristotle. For these works we can learn about the Aristotle's theory, Plato's ideology, Homer's theory. So these scholars, translator, they flee to various cities of वेस्टर्न यूरोप. ठीक है, वो कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल से भाग के आए और वो वेस्टर्न यूरोप के काफ़ी सारे शहर में फैल गए. एंड द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट सिटी दे फ्ली टू इज़ इटली. ठीक है, इटली में वो सबसे पहले गए एंड विच बिकम द सेंटर ऑफ रेनेसा, जहाँ से इस रेनेसा स्टार्ट हुआ. ठीक है, इटली में दे कम टू फ्लोरेंस, वीनिस एंड रोम. These Italian cities welcomed these scholars because they shared interest in classical learning and wealthy patron to fund libraries. They have very much interest in classical learning. So they respect these scholars. They try to preserve those manuscripts from, of course, Muslim community. And they have wealth, they have money. So they can fund those scholars, those libraries, and they can help them. They also travel to other parts of Europe like France, Germany, England. Okay. And this create a very powerful thing. The fleeing of all those scholars, translator from Constantinople to other part of Europe, this create a very important role that they started a cultural and intellectual movement which was named as Renaissance. So now we know how Renaissance started and what happened before Renaissance started and why it had to be happen. This is the first video about Renaissance. In the second video, we will talk about the impact of Renaissance on literature and the important writer belonged to Renaissance period. If you have any query, any question from this topic or any other topic, you can comment below. And there is a link of my Telegram channel in the description. You can follow me there and have a nice day.